she was accused of sleeping her way to the top. But in just one meeting, she flipped the script and exposed a billion-dollar board member for corruption. What started as blackmail turned into the most shocking corporate takedown and love story no one saw coming. Sophia Winters adjusted her silk blouse for the third time as the elevator rose to the 50th floor of Castellano Technologies. The morning sun lit up Denver's skyline in shades of gold through the tall glass walls, but she hardly noticed. Her thoughts were already on the busy day ahead, important board meetings, contract reviews, and managing the impossible schedule of Roman Castellano. At just 26. Sophia had earned her position as executive assistant to one of America's youngest billionaires through hard work and determination. Her co-workers often said she was the only person who could guess Roman's needs before he even asked. What they didn't know was that she carefully kept her distance, keeping things strictly professional to protect both their careers. Roman Castellano, 34, stood by the wide office windows, looking down at the city below. He had built a tech empire worth billions, but success had come with a cost. Every relationship in his life felt like a transaction. Everyone wanted something from him, except a brilliant woman, who would walk into his office in exactly 3 minutes, without trying. He had memorized her routine. The sound of her heels on marble, the way she arranged documents with exact precision, and the rare smile that brightened her face when she thought no one was watching. For 2 years, he had kept their relationship strictly professional, even while fighting an attraction that grew stronger each day, right on time. A soft knock came at his door. "Come in, Sophia." Sophia entered with her usual calm confidence, holding a leather folder that contained his day's schedule. She wore a navy dress, elegant, neat, and perfectly professional. Her dark hair was tied into a flawless bun. Everything about her spoke of order and control. "Good morning, Mr. Castellano," she said with her practiced professional warmth. "The quarterly reports are ready for you, and I've also prepared my analysis on the 3 merger proposals." Roman turned from the window. As always, his sharp green eyes focused fully on her, making her heart beat a little faster. He was strikingly handsome in his charcoal suit, but what captivated her most was his brilliant mind, the way he could break down a problem in seconds and carry himself with quiet confidence. "The Morrison deal?" he asked, moving toward his desk. "I recommend against it," Sophia said, placing her folder on the desk. "Their technology is impressive, but their company culture is the complete opposite of ours. If we merged, it would be a nightmare to manage." Roman gave a faint smile. For 2 years, her instincts had never failed him. "And your alternative?" he asked. "A smaller company," she explained. "Less expensive, but with much bigger potential. Their team already shares our vision for ethical tech. It would be a smoother, stronger partnership." Roman looked over her analysis. "Do you realize you may have just saved this company $50 million? A rush of warmth filled Sophia at his words, but she quickly pushed the feeling aside. "Just doing my job, sir, Sophia." Something in the way he said her name made her glance up. "How many times have I told you?" he said softly. "Call me Roman at least when we're alone." The air between them shifted. For months, he had been Roman in private, but every time she slipped back into formality, as if his title was a shield against feelings she wasn't supposed to have. "Company policy suggests we keep boundaries." She replied carefully. "Company policy," Roman repeated with a hint of amusement. He stepped closer to her side of the desk. "Did you know I wrote most of those policies myself? And lately, I'm starting to think some of them are outdated. Sophia's heartbeat quickened, though her face stayed calm. The board expects professionalism. The board expects results, Roman countered. His sharp green eyes locked onto hers. Everything else is just tradition. And I've never been one to follow tradition blindly. Before she could answer, her phone buzzed. She glanced at the alert and frowned. The weather service just issued a severe storm warning for the Rockies. But the Aspen conference is still scheduled this afternoon. Roman checked his own phone, his expression tightening. The Richardson team is flying in just for this meeting. If we cancel, we lose momentum. Sophia was already pulling up forecasts on her tablet. The storm isn't expected until tonight. We could fly there this morning, finish the meetings, and return before it gets bad. But if the storm moves faster, we might get stuck in Aspen. Overnight. The words carried a heavier weight than they should have. Sophia had traveled on dozens of business trips with Roman, but never alone. Always with other executives, always within the safe walls of professionalism. The thought of being stranded with him, just the two of them, sent her pulse racing in ways that had nothing to do with weather. I could arrange separate accommodations, she blurted quickly. Different hotels, to keep maximum professional distance. Roman studied her carefully, his voice low. Is that really what you want? Maximum professional distance. The question felt like both a warning and an invitation. Sophia held his gaze firmly. I want what's best for the company. That's not what I asked, Roman replied quietly. Into the storm hours later, they were airborne in Roman's private jet, racing the storm. Sophia sat across from him in the sleek cabin, pretending to review merger documents while acutely aware of every movement he made. Outside, the horizon was darkening, heavy clouds building like a warning. The Richardson presentation looks solid, she said, breaking the silence. Thanks to your research. Roman shut his laptop and gave her his full attention. You know, I've been thinking about what you said earlier about boundaries. Sophia's pen stilled. Mr. Castellano Roman, he corrected gently. His eyes held hers. And I've been wondering if maybe the real mistake would be pretending we don't feel what's happening between us. Before she could answer, the jet jolted. Turbulence shook the cabin, and Sophia's fingers clutched the armrest. Snow was beginning to fall outside Weeks. Earlier than the forecast had predicted, the pilot's voice came over the intercom. Mr. Castellano, Ms. Winters, we need to land immediately. The storm's moving in faster than expected. Trapped Aspen's small airport was chaos. Flights were being cancelled, roads shutting down, and the Richardson team's jet had been diverted back to Denver. The big meeting they'd risked that Flight 4 was gone, leaving them stranded in a luxury mountain town. Just as a blizzard began to take hold, Sophia scrolled through her phone as they collected their things. The Castellano suite at the Grand Aspen is ready. She paused, her face tightening. But there's a problem. With the storm, every hotel in town is overbooked. Stranded travelers have taken every available room. Roman raised an eyebrow. Every hotel, I managed to secure one room, she admitted. At the Mountain View Lodge, her cheeks warmed as she added, it's a romantic cabin resort. Very private, very intimate. Snow was already thickening outside, the world turning into a white wilderness. The storm that was supposed to arrive at night had struck hours early. One room, Roman repeated, his voice calm but unreadable. It's a large cabin, Sophia said quickly, with a separate sitting area. It's just for one night. The roads should be clear by morning. But even as she said it, she wasn't so sure. The storm was only getting worse outside. Every screen in the airport flashed warnings of a historic blizzard, 3 feet of snow predicted. With mountain passes likely closed for days, Roman stepped closer, his voice dropping low, almost intimate. "Ah, you sure about this, Sophia? Once we're in that cabin, there won't be office walls, company policies, or professional masks between us." He let the words linger. Heavy with meaning, Sophia met his green eyes and saw something she hadn't let herself believe: desire. Yes, but also a tenderness that made her heart stumble. The professional part of her screamed this was dangerous. But another part, the one she had buried for 2 years, was tired of pretending. "I'm sure," she whispered. Outside, the storm howled, as if nature itself wanted to force them together. As the car wound its way toward the mountains, Sophia couldn't shake the feeling that they weren't just heading into a blizzard. They were heading toward a truth that would change everything. The cabin, the Mountain View Lodge cabin, sat nestled among tall pines, its windows glowing like lanterns against the darkening sky. Snow was falling in thick, silent sheets, piling up faster than anyone had predicted. Sophia paused in the doorway, her breath catching. The cabin was everything the brochure had promised: rustic charm blended with modern luxury. A stone fireplace, roared with crackling flames, soft leather chairs angled toward sweeping mountain views, and a king-size bed sat in a curtained alcove, as though the room itself was designed for romance. "One bed," Roman said quietly, setting down their bags. Sophia felt heat creep into her cheeks. "I can take the couch. It looks comfortable." "Enough." "Absolutely not." Roman moved to the window where snow was already piling high against the glass. "This storm is worsening by the hour. We need to stay warm. That means staying close to the fireplace." As if agreeing with him, the cabin lights flickered, and the heater groaned under the strain of the cold pressing in from outside. Sophia clutched her phone. "I should call the office, let them know the meeting's cancelled, and update them about our situation." Roman stepped forward, catching her hand gently before she could dial. "The office can wait," he said softly. "When was the last time you took a moment just for yourself?" The warmth of his touch sent a spark rushing through her arm, straight to her heart. She looked down at their joined hands, his, larger and warm, wrapping around hers with steady strength. "I don't really take moments for myself," she admitted. "I know." His thumb brushed slowly across her knuckles. "You take care of everyone else, me, the company, every detail of every day. But who takes care of you?" The question struck deeper than she expected. For years, Sophia had built her identity around being indispensable, never needing anything from anyone. The thought of being cared for, truly cared for, felt foreign, terrifying, and wonderful all at once. "I take care of myself," she said softly. "Do you?" Roman stepped closer, still holding her hand. "When you work 14-hour days and forget to eat, when you stay late to perfect presentations that are already flawless, when you hold yourself at such a distance that no one sees the remarkable woman behind the perfect assistant." The air between them seemed to crackle. Heat, not just from the fire, but from everything unspoken. Sophia pulled her hand away, needing space to think. She crossed to the window, watching snow swirl in thick, hypnotic patterns outside. "Professional distance protects everyone involved," she whispered. "It protects me from risking anything real." Roman rose, adding another log to the fire. Sparks leapt upward, casting light and shadow across his strong features. "Or maybe it keeps you from everything real." She turned, frustration and longing battling in her eyes. You don't understand. I worked so hard to get here. One mistake, one hint of impropriety, everything I've built could vanish. Roman straightened, his expression serious. What if I told you everything you think you know about your role, the company, the policies was already changing? Her brow furrowed. What do you mean? The firelight flickered across his face as he turned to her. I've been planning something for months. A complete restructuring of Castellano Technologies. New policies, new opportunities. A culture where relationships that make us stronger aren't treated as risks. Sophia's mind spun ahead, already analyzing implications. You're talking about rewriting the entire corporate culture. I'm talking, Roman said firmly, stepping closer, about building a company where brilliant people like you can thrive without hiding who they are or what they feel. Her lips parted in shock, but he wasn't finished. Your promotion to Chief Innovation Officer was approved by the board last week. The words struck her like a physical blow. My, what? You've been running strategic development for 2 years, Roman said steadily, all while carrying the title of executive assistant. It's time your position reflected your brilliance. This promotion has nothing to do with my feelings for you and everything to do with your talent. His eyes held hers, unwavering, daring her to believe him. Truth in the storm. Sophia sank into one of the leather chairs, her chest tightening with emotion. Chief Innovation Officer, the title echoed in her mind. That would place her as Roman's equal on the corporate Laderno reporting lines. No power imbalance, no broken rules. Roman moved closer and knelt beside her chair, his expression unguarded. I wanted to tell you in the right way with official documents, a polished announcement, and the board present. But this storm, this moment, it feels like the universe is pushing us to stop hiding. Outside, the wind howled through the pines, and snow battered the windows, sealing them inside a world far removed from Denver's skyscrapers and polished boardrooms. I've been in love with you for over a year, Roman confessed, his voice rough with truth. Every morning when you walk into my office, every late night you stayed to solve a crisis, every time you challenged my ideas and made them better. I fought it because I thought being with me would damage your career. But maybe, he drew a breath. Maybe the most professional thing I can do is create a world where we don't have to choose between love and success. Tears stung Sophia's eyes, blurring the firelight. Roman. His hand came up, gentle against her cheek. Tell me you don't feel it too. Tell me these last 2 years of distance haven't been torture for you as well. The dam inside her finally broke. She leaned into his touch, no longer able or willing to deny the truth. Of course, I feel it. Do you think it's been easy keeping boundaries? Do you think I haven't noticed the way you take your coffee? Or how your voice softens when you're passionate about a new project? Or the way you run your hand through your hair when you're solving impossible problems? A slow, brilliant smile spread across his face. You notice that? I notice everything about you, she whispered, the admission like stepping off a cliff. It's been terrifying and wonderful and completely inappropriate, and I've been fighting it every single day. Then stop fighting. Roman stood, pulling her gently to her feet with him. His eyes burned with conviction. Just for tonight, for this storm, in this cabin stop, fighting what we both know is real. At that moment, the lights flickered violently, then went out completely. Darkness wrapped around them, broken only by the glow of the fireplace. Golden light dancing across their faces. Perfect timing, Roman murmured, his hands framing her face. Love's perfect storm, what if this changes everything? Sophia whispered. Roman's gaze burned into hers. What if it changes everything for the better? And then his lips found hers. It was like lightning striking 2 years of restrained longing, hidden glances and careful distance igniting into a kiss that was at once desperate and tender, fierce and perfect. Sophia's hands gripped his shirt, pulling him closer, while his arms circled her waist, lifting her as though he never wanted to let go. When they finally broke apart, breathless, their foreheads rested together in the flickering firelight. "Love you," Sophia whispered, the words rushing out like freedom. "I've loved you for so long, I can't even remember what it feels like not to love you." Roman's voice was rough with emotion. "I love you too, more than I thought possible, more than I ever knew how to handle." Outside, the storm raged with wild fury, but inside the cabin, time felt suspended. The world narrowed to just the two of them. They sank down together on the thick rug before the fire, wrapped in warmth and new truth. Words spilled out stories, dreams, fears never spoken before. Roman confessed the loneliness that came with success, how every relationship seemed poisoned by money or power. Sophia admitted her fear of being dismissed as a woman who had slept, her way to the top, her determination to be valued for her brilliance alone. "You know what's funny?" Sophia murmured, curled against him as the fire crackled low. "I always thought loving you would make me weak, that it would compromise my professionalism. But now I feel stronger than I have in years." Roman pressed a kiss into her hair. "Because love doesn't diminish us. Real love makes us braver, more authentic, more ourselves." They fell asleep there, wrapped in each other's arms. The storm still roaring outside, but softer now, as if it too had begun to settle into peace. Morning light Sophia woke to pale. Sunlight spilling through frost-covered windows, the silence of fresh snow blanketing the world outside. She felt different, transformed. The professional armor she had carried for years seemed unnecessary now, replaced with something far stronger, the confidence of being truly seen, truly loved. Roman was already awake, watching her with a soft smile. "Good morning, beautiful, good morning." She stretched against him, marveling at how natural this felt, as though they had always belonged this way. "Let's see the damage," he said, rising with her. Together, wrapped in the soft throw from the couch, they moved to the window. The world beyond had been remade trees, bowed under glittering white rooftops, hidden beneath thick drifts. Cars were buried. Roads vanished beneath mountains of snow. They were snowed in, completely. "We're not getting out of here today," Roman said, looking out at the buried roads. "Oh no," Sophia replied with mock distress. "Another day trapped in paradise, with the man I love. However will I survive?" Roman's laugh was pure joy, unguarded and free. "I think we'll manage." They prepared breakfast together in the cabin's small kitchen, moving around each other with a new, effortless intimacy. Plates, brushing shoulders, stealing quiet smiles. Neither of them noticed the black SUV parked at the tree line. Neither of them saw the telephoto lens aimed through the cabin's windows, capturing every tender moment. The storm outside had passed, but the real test of their love was only beginning. Ambushed 3 days later, Sophia walked into Castellano Technologies with a confidence she had never known before. The roads had cleared, the blizzard was behind them, but everything felt changed. She was changed. The walls she had built around. Her heart had melted completely. She felt vulnerable, but also stronger than she had in years. Roman had gone straight into emergency board meetings to deal with the Richardson merger delays. But before leaving her in the parking garage, he had cupped her face in his hands and said quietly, "Whatever happens today, remember this: I love you. Your promotion is real. It's based entirely on your merit. And no matter what comes, we're facing it together now." Those words echoed through her mind as she settled into her new office, preparing for what promised to be a difficult day. The atmosphere felt different. Emails carried sharp undercurrents. Colleagues glanced at her with thinly veiled curiosity or suspicion. And then Nina Torres, head of HR, appeared in her doorway before 9 a.m., her expression tight and unreadable. "We need to talk," Nina said, closing the door behind her. Her voice was cool, professional, so different from the warm mentor who had guided Sophia for 2 years. Sophia's stomach clenched. "Nina, what's going on?" Without a word, Nina set a manila folder on the desk with the careful precision of someone handling a bomb. "What is this?" Sophia asked, though dread was already curling in her chest. Nina opened the folder. Photographs spilled across the desk. Sophia's breath caught. Her own face stared back at her kissing Roman in the firelight, wrapped in his arms at the cabin window, laughing over breakfast at the rustic kitchen table. Every intimate moment of their 3 days together, captured in unforgiving detail. Her blood ran cold, captured by a telephoto lens and twisted into evidence of corporate impropriety. Where did these come from? Sophia's voice was steadier than she felt. "Mitchell hired a private investigator to follow you both to Aspen," Nina said. "He's been building this case for months, claiming your rapid career advancement was due to personal rather than professional relationships." Sophia studied the photos with the analytical eye that had made her indispensable at Castellano. Technologies, the framing, the angles, the lighting, it wasn't random surveillance. It was curated, hand-picked to tell a damning story. "This isn't evidence," she said, her pulse hammering. "It's character assassination. Professionally executed." Nina's grim nod confirmed it. "He's been planning this for a while. The timing isn't coincidental." Understanding hit like a blade. "Mitchell knew. He knew about my promotion before it was announced," Sophia whispered. "He waited until the exact moment Roman couldn't. Protect me, 'cause he wants the chief innovation officer's seat for his nephew." The pieces locked together with sickening clarity. "This isn't about corporate ethics," Sophia said, bitterness lacing her voice. "It's about jealousy. Power." "That may be true," Nina replied gently, "but it doesn't change the immediate problem. Mitchell is demanding your resignation. He's threatening to leak the photos to the press, turn this into a scandal that could damage both you and Roman." Sophia stood abruptly, pacing to the window. Beyond the glass, the mountains rose silent, witnesses to the place where her love story with Roman had begun. "What does Roman know?" she asked. "He's in the boardroom right now," Nina said. "Mitchell called the emergency session before Roman could formally announce your promotion." Her voice softened. "Sophia, I've seen your work for 2 years. You deserve this role. But the timing of these photos," she hesitated, "it makes it look like you slept your way to the top." The words landed like blows, not because they were true, but because they echoed exactly what Mitchell wanted the world to believe. Sophia turned, meeting her mentor's eyes. "What are my options?" "Mitchell is offering a deal," Nina said. "Resign quietly, and the photos disappear. Refuse, and he releases everything complete with a narrative about corruption at the highest levels of Castellano Technologies. The thought of her private moments with Roman, those sacred hours by the fire, in his arms splashed across gossip sites and business headlines, made Sophia's stomach twist. But the thought of surrendering her career, letting James Mitchell win through manipulation and lies, that was worse. There's a third option, Sophia said quietly. Nina raised an eyebrow. I'm listening. Sophia sat at her computer, pulling up a series of encrypted files she had been compiling for months. Mitchell's nephew, she said, her voice steady now. He's not qualified for any senior position. Every company his uncle has placed him in, he's failed, spectacularly. I've been documenting it as part of my market risk assessments, performance reports, financial discrepancies, HR complaints. It's all here. She turned the screen toward Nina, eyes blazing. If Mitchell wants a war, Sophia said, then I'll fight. But this time, on my terms. But that wasn't the interesting part. Sophia's fingers flew across the keyboard, her mind a weapon, sharpened by 2 years of strategic analysis. Line by line, she pulled up financial records, email chains, and board meeting minutes. The pattern was unmistakable. Mitchell hasn't just been pushing for his nephew, Sophia said, her eyes hard. He's been manipulating board decisions for years, using his position to benefit family members and cronies. The Chief Innovation Officer's seat is only the latest in a long chain of corruption. Nina leaned in, scanning the damning evidence. This isn't just internal politics, she murmured. This is a federal investigation waiting to happen. Sophia's smile was cool steel. Mitchell made one fatal mistake. He assumed I was just Roman's assistant, that I didn't have access or the intelligence to see what he was doing. But I've been mapping governance patterns since my first day here. Her gaze didn't waver. I know where all the bodies are buried. The counterattack an hour later, Sophia pushed open the heavy double doors of the boardroom. Inside, James Mitchell stood mid-speech, parading glossy photographs across the table like a snake oil salesman. The dozen board members shifted uncomfortably, clearly repelled by the tawdry spectacle, but unwilling to interrupt. At the head of the table, Roman sat with his hands steepled, his face a mask of corporate composure, but Sophia saw the fire in his eyes. When their gazes met, he gave the smallest nod, silent strength, just for her. Ah, Miss Winters, Mitchell drawled with oily satisfaction. How convenient. We were just discussing your future with the company. Sophia's heels clicked against the polished floor as she strode forward. She placed a thick folder in the center of the table with deliberate precision. Actually, she said, her voice cutting clean through the room's tension, I'd like to discuss yours. The room stilled. Mitchell's smirk faltered. What's this supposed to be? Evidence, Sophia replied calmly, sliding copies toward each board member. 3 years of systematic corruption, board manipulation, nepotism, detailed documentation of how you used insider influence to funnel company resources into your nephew's failing businesses. A ripple of movement went around the table as directors leafed through the papers. Financial irregularities, manipulated votes, personal enrichment at the company's expense. The air grew heavy. This is absurd, Mitchell barked, sweat breaking along his temple. A desperate attempt to distract from your own inappropriate conduct. Sophia didn't flinch. Unlike your fabrications, my evidence is verifiable. Audit trails, emails, board minutes, numbers don't lie, Mr. Mitchell. The silence that followed was deafening. Love's triumph Roman rose slowly from his seat, the weight of his authority commanding the room. His voice carried calm certainty. The board should also know. He said, eyes locked on Mitchell, that Miss Winters' promotion to Chief Innovation Officer was formally approved 3 weeks ago. Approved by this board on the basis of her exceptional performance, market foresight, and strategic contributions. He let that sink in, then added, voice unwavering, her promotion has nothing to do with her personal life. It is a recognition of her talent, something James Mitchell has repeatedly tried to undermine for his own gain. The shift in the room was immediate. The board members' gazes turned, no longer wary of Sophia, but narrowing in judgment on Mitchell, and for the first time, Sophia allowed herself to breathe. Personal relationship you've been hiding, Mitchell snapped. Not hiding, Sophia said evenly. Protecting the company from exactly this kind of manipulation and scandal-mongering. Her voice grew stronger, steadier. But I'm done protecting myself from people who mistake professionalism for weakness. She turned directly to the board. Her gaze was unwavering. Yes, I love Roman Castellano. Yes, we began a romantic relationship during our trip to Aspen, but that was after my promotion was approved. And it doesn't change the fact that I earned this position through hard work, strategic insight, and absolute dedication to this company's success. Silence blanketed the room. Then Maria Santos, the board's senior member, leaned forward. Her tone was cool, deliberate. Mr. Mitchell, she said, these financial irregularities are grave. We'll need to call for a full investigation. Her eyes shifted to Sophia. And Miss Winters, your transparency is refreshing. Corporate policy should protect against real conflicts of interest, not punish talent for finding happiness. The gavel fell in Mitchell's mind before it did in reality. 2 hours later, James Mitchell had resigned in disgrace, facing both corporate and federal investigations. The board not only confirmed Sophia's promotion, but also voted to modernize Castellano Technologies' relationship policies, protecting against abuse of power without punishing personal lives. Later, the sun set over Denver, painting Roman's office in hues of gold and crimson. Sophia stood by the window, still processing the storm she'd just weathered. No regrets? Roman asked softly, sliding his arms around her waist from behind. None, she whispered, leaning back against the steady strength of him. Not about falling in love with you. Not about standing up to Mitchell. Not about telling the whole board that I'm completely professionally and personally. She turned, eyes meeting his, fierce and bright. Best decision I've ever made. Even if it means no more professional distance and a lot more careful boundaries. Her smile lit the room. Especially because of that. I'm done being afraid of happiness. I'm done hiding the best part of my life. Roman's kiss was tender, filled with relief and promise. I love you, Chief Innovation Officer Winters. And I love you, Roman Castellano, now and always. Outside, snow began to fall again, soft, gentle, like a blessing. The storm that had brought them together was gone, but it had left behind something stronger, truer, and unshakable. Their perfect storm had become their perfect forever.